afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's session of Lunch and Learn with OTrain. We have a great session set up today, but first of all, my name's Emma Monroe and this is Shane Ridley. We'd like to welcome Jodie Heberard from Zenergy Group to our panel today. Hello, Jodie, how are you?
Hey, I'm really great. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Now, just to kick the ball rolling, we do have the Q&A app working, and there is a Q&A box just below the video where if you have any questions at all for Jodie throughout the session, we will interrupt when it's appropriate and ask Jodie the questions that you want to hear the answers from. Now, we're going to kick off first with an update on OTrain over the last 2 weeks. So what's been happening, Shane?
Fantastic. We're getting really busy here, Emma, and everyone at home. We're actually moving at the end of the month, so we're measuring up furniture and organising removalists, and got a new office down in Margaret Street, which we're very excited. Had a very exciting business history. We started across the road from where we are now, moved around the corner, moved back to here, and now we're moving back around the corner. So it's very exciting. We're looking forward to getting to our new address and the new digs.
We may have to do something flashy for our last broadcast from here.
Our last broadcast from the office.
Yes. So there you go.
Maybe we can do our painting. Maybe they can all come in for a live lunch and learn to help paint or something.
That would be interesting. Very good. Now, thanks for that update. Now we're going to get stuck into this juicy content that we've got today from Jodie. Shane, you're going to do the intro to Jodie, and we'll kick off.
Fantastic. And Jodie, thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate you making the time. And today we're talking about one of my favourite subjects of all time, and that's culture. Jodie's going to share her story with us in a minute, but runs a fitness business in Brisbane and has an absolute devotion to culture. And, you know, I've got 1,000 quotes on culture. I love culture. I talk about it all the time. Culture beats strategy. It eats strategy for breakfast. Culture is your key differentiator. And there's just so many examples of where having a great culture in a business and really understanding and driving your culture has led to market leaders. And that's exactly what we've got with Zenergy. So I'm really excited, to get started. So, Jodie, do you want to start by telling everybody, I guess your background and your story and how you sort of got to where you are today?
Yeah, sure. I'm a qualified accountant by trade. That was my very first career, and I absolutely hated it, and I was bad at it, and I moved on from there. My husband was studying human movements at university and was doing a whole new fitness career. It was called personal training back then, and it blew my mind away with what you could do with a fitness career. So I decided to jump ship into the fitness side, and we worked as solo contract personal trainers at Zest Health Clubs for a good few years, and we were doing really well. We had it down pat. So the next step for us was our own business. We opened the doors in February 2004, so it's 10 years ago just gone by, and we realised very quickly that we had no idea what we were doing. Had to work our butts off basically to turn it around from all the mistakes that we were making. Fast forward to 10 years now, I stopped training clients back in 2007, and I just managed the business side, so the marketing, the financial management, and work with my manager as well. I've had a couple of kids along the way as well. That's my story.
Fantastic. That's awesome. And so we were talking before the broadcast, and you mentioned that you're in that stage, you've got the business going, you're kind of trying to work out where to go.
Yeah.
You get a business coach involved, and the business coach starts to talk to you about culture. So
yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, sure. So when we first opened, it took us about 4 months to realise we were about to go bankrupt, and we needed to take some massive action. We moved back home to mum and dad. Thank God for all parents that take back their children when they open their businesses. And we employed a business coach. I always believe in having mentors surrounding you so you can learn from and accelerate your results. And our business coach, started talking about our team rather than using the word staff, and they started talking about what's your culture, and I had no concept of what that was. So we learned a little bit about it, and it's such an intangible thing. You can't touch it, but you can see, like in a sporting team, when there's a good culture. So Tony and I, having a sports background, could sort of look out in the sporting arena and go, okay, cool, we've got the idea, so we've got to sort of get that within the business to make it humming better. Because initially when we first opened the doors, we were having turnover of staff every 3 months. And that gets embarrassing when you're running a personal training facility to say, yeah, sorry, your trainer's left, we've got to re-employ. So we decided that it was a very important thing to learn and get our heads around.
Okay, great. So how did you come up with your culture? Well, what is your culture? How do you describe your culture, and how do you manage it?
Sure. We came up with our culture, our 6 points of culture, and the way that we came up with that was lots of, I guess, in-depth conversations with some awesome red wine, probably, no doubt, on Friday nights at home with my husband. And it's an extension, our culture is an extension of us and how we do business and our ethos and values, basically. I remember 2 distinct books that really helped me get the how-to, and they were Brad Sugar's book on team and also the Rockefeller Habits. They had a profound impact in terms of the knowledge base that I had around culture. So write those 2 down, Brad Sugar's Team Building and the Rockefeller Habits. I can't remember the author.
The author's Vern Harnish. He's my favourite author. It's my favourite book. So regular viewers would know I talk about Vern and the Rockefeller Habits often. Great.
Correct.
Thanks for the plug.
No, that's all right. So back to our 6 points of culture, we just sort of developed that. And the 6 points that we've got are win-win, which is everything that we do within the business, it's got to be a win-win. A win for the team, a win for our clients, and a win for the business owners. It needs to support everything. If you don't have a win-win, you've got a win-lose, which means someone loses out. It's not going to work. The relationship's not going to work from a long-term point of view. We've also got above and below the line. So there's a line in the sand. Stay above it. Don't blame and make excuses. I remember having a trainer once rocking up late for their training session with the client because of the traffic. I'm like, what, mate? It's just step up. There's the line. Get above it. And the next one is a no-fat trainer. That's a policy or a rule that we have, and it's not based on how many kilos or skin folds. It's the personality behind the trainer, because if there's a personal trainer that's not enthusiastic to exercise themselves, it's pretty hard to be credible within the fitness industry. It's like you wouldn't go see a broke financial planner. So we're very upfront in that, we don't employ fat personal trainers. We want the healthy and the motivated personal trainer on our team. Change, expect it, embrace it. It's a part of life. So we've got that as a part of our culture as well. Candor. I don't like to pretty things when I talk. I'm pretty a straight shooter. So I'll call a spade, and I expect my team to do the same. So we've got a very direct dialogue that happens within our culture. And the last one is give 100%, get 100%. You can't expect to rock up to your work and put in a half-assed job and get paid promotions and pay rises. So we're very blunt and open and honest with this. This is our points of culture. If you want to come work with our team, this is what you got to work by, live by, basically.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of bottles of red wine, or many bottles of red wine, it's an extension of your own values and where you are. You introduce these 6 points of culture. Then you go back to your team. At this stage, you're still early, but you've got some staff. So how do you introduce it to them, and what happens?
Yeah, sure. We basically, back when we did introduce it, because we had an existing team that were all floundering and there were really no rules of the game or clear expectations, we basically did like half-day breakouts, took them away, did a lunch session, and sort of shared openly and honestly the direction that we were going within the business, made it known to them that we wanted to be the absolute best in Brisbane. It wasn't going to be second best, it was the best. And then we sort of linked in, because it's a sporting business that I'm in, it was easy to sort of use the whole analogy of sports. And it's just a matter of sharing with them. Some people took it on board, some people didn't. The people that didn't, you're not welcome on the team. So we made it very clear at that point that, this is our team and this is the rules that we want to live by. So if you want to play, awesome. If you don't want to play, that's okay too.
Okay, fantastic. And did you notice in the team that you'd hired to that point that, there was a lot of people that got off the bus, or? No,
it wasn't a lot. It's always only like that 10%. In a team, there's always 70% of the average, and then you've got 20%, which are started pulling you down, and then 10%, which are your top performers. So it was only a couple that were rocky and we weren't really happy with anyway. So it's just the nature of the beast in terms of the ratios with your team. You're always going to have that ratio.
Fantastic. So business is going well. You've just got rid of 10% of your team because they're not on board the bus. How do you use your values to hire and just 6 points of culture? How do you use them to hire the next people that come in?
Yeah, sure. We do a group interview as our very first hiring step, and as soon as they come to our group interview, they're exposed to it. So we share with them 3 points of culture in that group interview. We actually play games in our group interviews as well, because games are a really good way to demonstrate values and that intangible thing that you're trying to get across. So we play a change game where we actually get them to change their physical appearance, change 5 things about your appearance in the next 60 seconds. And in that, people get uncomfortable and they think, why am I playing this game? And it just brings about a whole lot of questions, and you can see the people that are resistant to change or that are happy to change and will do it on the first step of a group interview, just, because they embrace it. So we think about, okay, how can we, because obviously you just tell someone something, but when they can feel it, that's what you really want to try and do when you're communicating your culture points. So we've got some games that we play. And then all throughout the group interview process, we're just referring back to it. It's really important that it's a consistent message. It's in our employment contract. Our 6 points of culture is written in our employment contract. It's got to be there consistently throughout it. And we also use our, inside lingo within the business in terms of, is that a win-win decision, or is that a win-win request for you to have next week off with only a couple of days' notice, or whatever it is. So using the lingo of your culture all throughout, from the very first step to all throughout your process.